We are previewing the New York Giants 2025 season. We have a special guest from New York's number 2 sports show, Derek Fask.
One of the most exciting preseasons in a while for the New York Giants. We'll see if it translates to any regular season success.
Can the Giants finally start climbing out of this hole that they've been in? Or is this just going to be a repeat, another 3-win, 4-win season?
You like to think it can't be as bad as last season. It's been a rough go for the Giants in the last decade plus. There's reasons for optimism. And really, you can go to the draft, first round, where they land Abdul Carter with the number 3 selection, and then they trade up for Jaxson Dart.
Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew Sistad, Brad unite. Philly and Y in the spotlight.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 65. We are previewing the New York Giants 2025 season, and to do it, we have a special guest from New York's number 2 sports show, Derek Fask. Derek, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. One of the most exciting preseasons in a while for the New York Giants. We'll see if it translates to any regular season success, but happy to be here. Happy that football season is finally approaching. Not something that, you being a Jet fan, not something that we typically totally look forward to. Season's kind of over like in September, but maybe this year things will be a little bit different.
We need it to be. An exciting football season we need. At least we're gonna get excited here.
I mean, can they be like in the hunt in like November? Is that possible? One of these teams?
We're gonna break it down. So Derek, thanks for joining. We needed a Giants fan's perspective. I'm a Jets fan, obviously everyone knows, follows the pod, Sistad. An Eagles fan, we banned him from the episode. We said no Eagles fan allowed here in the Giants preview.
That could have gotten ugly.
No, it could have gotten really ugly. We don't need that. We don't need a Super Bowl champion fan. All right, so
we don't need to hear him gloat about them winning the Super Bowl. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Yes,
exactly. So Derek from New York's number 2 sports show. Derek covers on his pod covers a lot of Yankees, a lot of Giants, and so check him out. You're on YouTube, right? And where else can people find you?
YouTube is the main thing.
Okay.
So yeah, you can find me on YouTube.
All right. So Derek does a great job covering the Giants, covers the Yankees, but I have him on for the Giants preview because, like I said, we needed that Giants fan perspective. We needed someone that's into the weeds for the New York Football Giants, the G-Men. So here we go.
Big Blue.
A lot to get to. Just real quickly to recap what last season was a wonderful season for the Giants. Wonderful season. 3-14, last place in the NFC East. So I guess let's just open up. Let's just ask, can the Giants finally start climbing out of this hole that they've been in? Or is this just going to be a repeat? Another terrible year, another 3-win, 4-win season where you're just looking at, you're scouting the draft prospects in December.
Manning. Yeah, I mean, you like to think it can't be as bad as last season. It's been a rough go for the Giants in the last decade plus.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of postseason appearances sprinkled in, year one of Brian Daboll and Joe Shane in 2022. They won a playoff game at Minnesota before getting spanked.
Kind of tricked everyone. Kind of tricked the front office into thinking that they had a win now team, kind of tricked the fan base into expecting them to come back the following year and win. Kind of a fluky year, right? Where they just won a bunch of close games late.
Yeah, I definitely think it accelerated the process more than it needed to. I think that while it was encouraging, it was very unexpected, and I think it was a season that Giant fans look back at fondly.
Of course.
But one that probably ends up causing more damage in the coming years after in 23 and 24. Now, Obviously, Joe Shane and Brian Dable still have their jobs. That was very much up for debate after last season, of course, after how bad it was. But this is a make or break year for them. And I do think that they made some good moves over the offseason. Now, we won't know how that actually, if it comes to fruition until the season, but I think that there's reasons for optimism for the Giants. And really, you can go to the draft, first round, where they land Abdul Carter with the number 3 selection, and then they trade up for Jaxson Dart with the number 25 pick out of Ole Miss. And very early returns. Now, obviously, Carter, there's sky high, upside in Carter and what he can bring for the Giants pass rush. But there's a lot of excitement about what Jaxson Dart did in his 3 preseason games. And look, like, we've seen that before, where there's been success in the preseason. Ultimately, it leads to nothing. But really, in watching it, it's exciting to the point where, like, it's a totally different quarterback room. That's like a big difference between, obviously, last season and this year. You got Daniel Jones, who was the starting quarterback since early-ish in 2019. There's been some injuries in between, of course, and just poor play. But now Russell Wilson's the starter, and behind him you have Jaxson Dart and Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito as well for now. I don't think Tommy DeVito is going to last on this roster as a 4th quarterback. But the point is that Jaxson Dart, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table at some point this season. I'm in no rush to see, but at the same time, as far as the Giants, their best opportunity of winning football games, that may just be Jaxson Dart over Russell Wilson in the near future.
Yeah, let me ask you something. You said a couple things, Derek. So you mentioned how you think that the head coach and GM combo, like, this is their year, like their jobs could be at jeopardy. You also talked about Jaxson Dart, Russell Wilson situation. Does their job security impact how they decide to play this quarterback situation out, develop Dart? Do they force him in because they're desperate? Do they hold him? Do they keep him out because they feel like Russell Wilson gives them a better chance to win, at least to be competitive now, even though long-term maybe at some point in the season it makes sense to get Dart in there? How do you think is there an impact at all there? Or is that a concern?
I think that the Giants drafting Jaxson Dart just naturally is a benefit to Joe Shane and Brian Dable's future with keeping their job, right? So on the one hand, it is a make or break year, as I said, but also they could have a poor record and still very much keep their job for 2026.
Like if Dart shows signs of potential. Okay.
Exactly, right? And so I think for them, Jaxson Dart's maturation is paramount for them. And I think that this was a Brian Dable. I think that he really pushed for Dart, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if everyone in that room was always on board with it being Dart. Now, maybe by the end of the process, they all kind of came to the same conclusion. But,
I would hope that they have differing opinions in that room.
Right. I mean, and I think that was probably something they were going back and forth on for a while. But yeah. Dart has impressed me. I was not the biggest fan of the Giants bringing Jaxson Dart on board. I wasn't, I had my concerns, and maybe those come to fruition. I hope they don't. But I think that, if the Giants finish 6-11, but Jaxson Dart plays the last, let's say, 6-7 games and really looks good, that's going to help their case. On the flip side, if it's a similar record and things kind of just go downhill in the way they lose games and it feels like they're all, mailing it in and Jaxson Dart struggling as well, then it's going to be a tougher case for them to keep it. But the thing that I'll say is this: I want the GM, coach, and quarterback all to be aligned here, which becomes difficult. If Jaxson Dart is your quarterback next year, without knowing anything else, if you told me that he is going to be the starter unequivocally, then I would hope that it's the same system. I would hope that it's Joe Shane and Brian Dable with him, or it's clean slate. If somehow Jaxson Dart is horrible, let's just say he is, at that point,
rookie quarterbacks are horrible very often.
Right. and I'm not saying I don't want to be patient, but let's say you finish 3-14 again and you have a top 5 pick and you can get your hands on one of the top quarterbacks. I'm not shying away from that either.
But you're not going to give Joe Shane and Brian Dable another chance.
No, definitely not. No, that would be a new regime that would be making that selection. Definitely.
Okay. Do you think, given where this roster is and given the schedule, which at some point we'll probably dive into more, whenever you want to,
do we have
how
to?
ridiculously tough it's absurdly tough for a last place team.
It is.
But do you think the goal is winning games, or is it just on player development? Excluding Dart for a second.
Kind of a boring answer, but a little bit of both. I think that, of course, the name of the game is winning football games. It is what it is. But at the same time, I think that you have to be careful when it comes to Jaxson Dart. And I'm talking in the way of like Russell. This is just a hunch on my part, but I'm intrigued by Russell Wilson. I am. There are certain parts of his game that are still strong. The moon ball being one of them. He's a pretty good decision maker. Maybe a little bit too conservative at times, but he's not going to he's not going to throw a crazy amount of interceptions based on, his resume. But my feeling is that like Jaxson Dart has the ability to take this offense to the next level, but also knowing that there are growing pains as well. It's going to be interesting to see when the transition is made. But I do think that they are going to be definitely trying to win football games. But you can't ignore what is important for the future. And understanding, like, I don't want John Mara. I don't want the precedent to be, hey, like, it's playoffs or bust. You have to win. It's not fair. Like, especially given the schedule and everything else. Like, that's not really feasible, to be honest with you. So I think, like, expectations have to be set the right way.
Yeah, no, I agree. It makes sense. All right, let's get into the schedule.
Let's do it.
So kind of unfortunate, kind of unfair, but unfortunately for the Giants, the NFC East gets the AFC West.
Yeah. And
so
the NFC
right
North.
Off the bat. Yes. So those are two incredibly tough divisions. Maybe the two toughest divisions in the league, right?
And you're playing the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders twice. That's just like, whereas, the Eagles, they get to play the Giants twice. So it's like we play 3 of the better teams in the NFC beyond the other divisions.
Exactly. I don't know where you fall on Washington. I'm not that high on Washington. I'm probably not as down on. Yeah, you too.
Sorry, Andrew. No, same here. Like I think they'll be good, but yeah, I'm not like super high on the Commanders.
They won a bunch of really close games last year, where I think that's hard to repeat.
Yes.
Year after year. But yeah, even like, like you were saying, like you start at Washington, at Dallas. That's a tough schedule to start. Then you come home with the Chiefs and the Chargers. That's
0-3, but potentially like even if they
potentially 0-4.
Potentially 0-4. Yeah.
That's
they're probably going to be underdog in all 4. Maybe the Charger game, depending on like the injury situation at that point, maybe.
I doubt it.
Yeah, like right now, the Chargers would be a favorite in that game.
And they'll probably be underdogs in New Orleans, even though the Saints aren't good, but it's on the road.
I don't know that. It's possible only because it's in New Orleans, but I would think that the Giants could be favored there because the Saints, Yes, I think it's fair to say that.
Yeah, and then you got obviously the Eagles, and at Denver's a tough game, and then at obviously in Philly and the Niners.
It's crazy. Look at those. It's murderer's row, like for a lot of different segments of the schedule.
I have a hard time seeing them win more than 5 games. Maybe we'll get into our predictions later on, but. And I think as the last place team, like the extra game they get like is against the Pats, I think.
The 3 games that they get as the last place team, New England, New Orleans.
Which is not an easy game at New England.
No, it's not. New Orleans,
okay.
And San Francisco. So San Francisco ends up being tough because they happen to finish last in the NFC West.
That's right.
So not much of a benefit there. Not that there's any horrible team in the NFC West if you think about it, but like you would have figured, okay, like that'd be like Arizona or something.
Exactly.
That's what you would have thought. But no, it's San Francisco. So.
Because the Niners were bad last year. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. It's tough. It's brutal. It
It
really
is.
is.
It's a very tough schedule. That all said, though, to be fair, like, and it is a tough schedule. And what really hurts is that it's tough early. But like, so many things evolve over a season
Yes.
later on, right? Like, it really can
Yeah.
change. So it's
The NFL
while
is
I
hard to
think-
predict in that way. Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those the first half of the schedule, it's really, really hard. And it's probably going to be somewhat similar to how you would project it to be. So the record probably won't be pretty, but those first couple games are going to be huge. You know, at Washington, at Dallas, like that is going to set a tone for the season. You know, if they can find a way to win one of those games, maybe, you know, the whole feel changes.
I agree. I completely agree. I don't. The thing is, I wouldn't be shocked if they won one of those games. I wouldn't be shocked if they
Neither would
won
I.
one of those games.
Neither would I. I look at that week 1 Washington game and I think
week one.
I don't see the Giants getting blown out. I don't see that. I see this being maybe a heartbreaking loss. Feels like it's like kind of in the offing. I don't know. I that's kind of where I'm going, but like I think it's gonna be a close game.
I could see them winning one of those two games. I could also see them. I would be kind of surprised if they got blown out by Washington, but I wouldn't be that surprised if they got blown out by the Cowboys.
We've been very bad against the Cowboys for a very long time. It's a rare 1 o'clock game.
Yeah,
Eastern time
right?
At
Against the
Dallas.
Cowboys.
You never see that. Usually it's a 4:25 game or a primetime game. So it's going to be a weird feeling. I cannot remember the last time a Giant Cowboy game in Dallas specifically was a 1 o'clock start. So I don't know. Irrelevant on the one hand, but also like maybe it's a good thing because the Giants typically are not great
Cowboys,
on primetime games.
To make you feel, I don't know if you thought about it, but the Cowboys also will coming off extra rest for that game because they play Thursday night.
I had not thought about that.
To make it harder.
Not great. Not great. And probably coming off of a likely loss to Philly, which I subscribe to. I don't love teams coming off of losses. Like if I had it my way, everything being equal, I'd rather play a team off of a win. There's two sides to the coin there, but you're likely coming off of a opening night loss at Philly with extra rest, and it's Dallas's first home game. So did not think about that, and that's not great.
Sorry to make it worse.
Yeah, hey, got to keep it honest here.
All right, let's talk about the roster because while there's been a lot of, I would say a lot of negativity, but some hope so far we talked about. But there are some really strong parts of this roster. Now, overall, the roster has a lot of areas where they can improve, but there's some really good pieces. What do you want to start with? The defensive line? I think that's the identity of this team, right? Dexter Lawrence, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. And then you got, Kayvon Thibodeaux, Brian Burns, and then, we talked about Abdul Carter. So what do you think about, what are your thoughts on the defensive line? You agree it's the strength of the roster?
Yeah, by far. But Shane Bowen is going to have to utilize that. The defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, going to have to utilize that as best as he can and try to get those guys in the field as much as possible at the same time. But it's also good to have some of that depth as well. Like, look, I think like Kayvon Thibodeaux, for example, he'll get the ceremonial start just based on seniority, but I think like he probably won't be playing as much as he's used to, but hopefully that helps. Keeps him fresh. Keeps all of them fresh. And they're going to have to get to the quarterback in part because there are some holes in other parts of the defense. The Giants are not super strong at the cornerback position. And so it's going to be imperative for them to, get to the quarterback, and they have the pieces to do it. And it's the first time in a while that I feel like you could look at a unit on the Giants and say, wow, like this is like one of the best in the league on paper type of unit.
It has the potential, at least, to be one of the best. I agree. I agree completely. I actually have some stats for you, some advanced metrics. I don't know if you're aware of these. Maybe you are. We'll see. Burns was fourth. This is in 2024 last year. Burns was fourth in pass rush win rate, 22%, fourth in the NFL. Kayvon was 16th in the NFL. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. You wouldn't have thought that. Like, you wouldn't have really. I think Brian Burns is one of those guys that I think analytically grades out pretty well. I almost feel like better than the eye test for
Is
Brian
that because
Burns.
he maybe doesn't finish off the plays? Maybe that's what it is.
Agreed. Brian Burns Like, there's been some years where the sack numbers have been pretty good, but he's not one to wow you in that department.
Yeah,
but he does a lot of
watching
good.
him. Watching him, I kind of agree.
Yeah, but he does a lot of things good. Like, Brian Burns is he's a very good player. Like, is he maybe a little for my money? Is he a bit overpaid? I think based on just what I saw in year one, I think that he is a little bit, but there's a clear difference to me between like Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux. Kayvon Thibodeaux has a lot to prove still. Brian Burns is like he's a very good player. Kayvon Thibodeaux, it's a big year for him.
Kayvon's had stretches where he's looked really good.
Yes.
And then it has stretches of games where he kind of just like, you don't even notice him.
Yeah, I want to see him do better against elite competition. I feel like he takes advantage of the lesser teams. And so I want to see him take a next step. And I think that if they are spending more time trying to stop Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeaux's on the other side, like, it should allow for some mismatches that he can take advantage of.
Yeah, if Abdul Carter can have that impact that people are talking about in camp and are hoping for, I think that will set up for the defensive line really well. And I think that takes them up several levels.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to think about like a situation where the four of those guys are on at the same time. Dexter Lawrence is obviously, like you said, one of the best interior linemen in the league. I do worry about this team as far as run defense. I think that could be a problem. Next to Dexter Lawrence, the options are not great. But if they can limit that and put teams in situations where, in bad down and distances, that is where the Giants are going to basically be at their strongest. And they're going to have to be able to stop the run in order to make that happen.
Yes, for sure. Let me ask you about the other side of the line.
Okay.
So you have Andrew Thomas, who is really, I would call him, he's an established all-pro offensive lineman, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
He's had trouble with injuries, staying on the field. What are your thoughts on the rest of the offensive line?
Definitely a lot of question marks on the rest of the offensive line. Andrew Thomas hopefully will be good to go week one, which, like, I don't know if we get like full, locked and loaded, ready to go Andrew Thomas, but I think he will be in there. I think he will be starting, and therefore will probably get his normal reps. And that's hugely, important. And, no Andrew Thomas, this line is going to be in big trouble. Now, the rest of it, I think they made a good addition last year with Jermaine Illuminor as the right tackle. After Evan Neal has been an absolute failure, they've moved him over to guard. He'll probably make the team as a backup guard, but he really shouldn't even be on the team. Like, that's not helping you win games. That's just kind of, contractually, there's a lot committed to Evan Neal, and I think that they want to see it through as long as they can, but he is someone that I don't want anywhere near game action. He is awful, whether that be tackle or now guard. But I want to see, development from John Michael Schmitz, the center, in his third year now, second round pick in 2023. Like, he has not been great his first 2 years. But there's some decent, like, the depth is better. I'll say that, than it had been. Marcus Bowe is an intriguing rookie tackle, 5th round pick, that showed out pretty well in preseason. So I do feel as if, as far as the depth is concerned, might be a little bit improved upon recent years. It's still not a great offensive line, if we're being honest. John Runyon's okay at left guard. Greg Van Roten, I like him, like former Jet Greg Van Roten. Bounced around a bunch, was on the Giants last year. And you can move him around and stuff. And I think that, ideally he would be someone I think that's kind of first guy off the bench, but he'll be the starting right guard. So it's, the offensive line was actually pretty good when Andrew Thomas was healthy last year. And Daniel Jones was the quarterback. He had more time to throw than I can remember.
How many games did Andrew Thomas miss last year? He missed 7
Andrew
or something?
Thomas must have missed at least half the season, probably more. I feel as if Andrew Thomas was kind of gone. I think he probably missed at least about 8 to 10 games, I want to say, at the top of my head.
I have 2 stats for you regarding the offensive line. This is last year for the Giants. Want to play a little trivia? Guessing?
Okay, I might need context, but I'll indulge.
It's okay. I wouldn't expect you to know this. Pass block win rate. Where do you think, if you had to guess, give me a range where you think the Giants were as a team? Pass block win rate last year. So that's an offensive line stat.
I mean, again, Andrew Thomas was gone for a good. I'm going to say it's probably towards the bottom.
Yeah, you're right.
30.
26th.
26th.
26th. Run block win rate. There's a theme here.
Run block
That
win
helps
rate.
you.
That's probably a little. I mean, Tyrone Tracy was pretty good just on an individual level. I'll say it was probably a little bit worse. I'll say 29.
27th. Very good.
Okay.
So their offensive line was terrible last year. So if it's better this year, it needs to be a lot better for it to be good.
It does. And I would wonder what those stats were pre and post Andrew Thomas. Like,
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a
I'd
good
be
question.
curious about that.
You take out your best player at a position group, it's going to make it a lot worse for sure.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it was bad in terms of the revolving door when he was out was pretty brutal. So, but still, like, it's not a great offensive line. And, that could rear its ugly head again for the Giants.
Yeah, I wanted to look up Andrew Thomas. Let's see here.
Injuries have been a problem for him lately.
Oh,
as you
wow.
said.
I didn't realize this. He played 6 games last year only. Is that
Okay.
accurate?
That's very possible. I
thought it was more
undershot
than
a little
that.
bit, so he missed 11 games. Yeah.
I thought he missed more than I thought he missed less than that.
Yeah.
And then and this has been a theme. So in 2023 he played 10 games.
Yeah. Injuries have been a problem.
Yeah, and then he was pretty healthy in 22 and 20, but in 21 he played 13 games. So that's a lot. I mean, because they need him. That's the thing, is they really need him.
Yeah, and he's actually good.
He's really good.
They
He's
they
really
actually
good.
hit on a left tackle, which is
I
not,
know.
which
And
is
that's
an
another
important
thing.
thing.
The more injuries that you have, the more likely you're not going to be as good anymore. It's going to eventually takes a toll.
Right.
Hopefully that doesn't happen to him.
Yeah, he needs to have a healthy season. You don't want that moniker of being an injury-prone player. And, like, we are kind of there with him, but I think that if he can have a full...
He can change that narrative very
he can.
easily.
He can. It's not... We haven't reached the point where it's just, that's it.
Yeah,
as far
no,
as
I
that.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Skill position outlook. Obviously, the name that comes to mind, at least I think for most people, is Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
An elite talent.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, injuries are a little bit of he's got like some lingering-ish couple of different things,
Yeah.
but I think he'll be all right. Last year that was kind of the case as well, but he's a special player. Excited about Malik Neighbors. The rest of the wide receiver crew, not great, to be honest.
Darius Slayton, Wandale Robinson.
Yeah, that's your start. That's your 3, right? Wandale
Actually,
Robinson.
I kind of like. They still have Jalen Hyatt, right?
Yeah, Jalen Hyatt's been an interesting conversation.
I kind of
point.
like him. Why? What's going on with him?
He's a bit of a one-trick pony, and drops are an issue. Like, he's a
Meaning what?
speed guy. He's a speed
okay.
guy, and he's dropping the ball.
I see.
That's kind of a tough combination.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring a whole lot to the table. I think if there was ever a time for him to succeed, it would be with Russell Wilson. Like, if he's not going to do well with Russell Wilson, you could just forget about it with Jalen Hyatt. I mean, it's year 3. I believe he's going to make the team, but there are some people that are even questioning that. I think he will, based purely on the fact that, the rest of the wide receiver core is nothing special, right? Unless like a Gabe Davis, like the only way that Jalen Hyatt somehow doesn't find his way on this team is if like a Gabe Davis signs with the Giants. There's a pre-existing history with Joe Shane.
Remember when Gabe Davis was like, everyone was calling him like the breakout player. There was drafting him like the round 4 fantasy.
After he had that amazing playoffs where he had all those touchdowns against the Chiefs in that crazy game.
It's always so funny when someone has like a really good game, like a couple really good games on the national stage, and then all of a sudden everyone thinks they're projecting their future careers as like stars. So a couple good games.
Yeah, and Jacksonville kind of found out the hard way with Gabe Davis. But if they can stay healthy, I think like with Neighbors, Slayton, and Robinson, like that's fine. I don't think it's anything overly spectacular, but obviously Malik Neighbors is special. So he is going to be the feature focal point of this offense. Giants actually weirdly have some interesting tight end depth. No one that's going to excite you as the starter, but there are some pieces there that have different type of roles, and kind of curious to see how that shakes out. For the 53-man roster. The starting tight end is. Sorry.
I was saying, who do you like at their tight end depth?
Well, right now the starting tight end is Theo Johnson, who was a 4th-round pick in 2024. Last season.
And they still have Daniel Bellinger too, right?
They still have Daniel Bellinger. Yeah, his role is kind of declining over time. Like, I feel like the best of Daniel Bellinger, at least like from a receiving standpoint, is probably behind us. Like, I feel like he showed out probably the most in 22. But a couple of guys, again, nothing that's crazy. Like really, I'm talking about Greg Dulcich, the former Denver Bronco tight end.
Yeah.
He is an interesting receiving tight end. He can't block, but he was a wide receiver. He was a wide receiver convert to tight end. Former 3rd-round pick, still relatively young. So there's some interesting decisions to be made there from the tight end position, and I think that could come in handy just because, again, I don't love that wide receiver depth. So it's possible that and Russell Wilson, he is one to definitely check down to his running backs and to his tight ends as safety blankets. So that could be interesting. But running back position.
That's what I want to talk about next. Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. Really had a great rookie year. And it's funny, he was actually a receiver originally in college, but he's going to be the starter. And there's excitement about Cam Skattebo, the 4th-round pick. Did have a hamstring injury, so that kind of set him back a bit. But I think that he could actually – it's kind of funny. Skattebo is built more like a bruiser goal line type guy. And like I said, Tyrone Tracy was a receiver. However, I think that Skattebo is going to be he was good at it in college, more of a receiving back, more of a 3rd down receptions kind of guy. And then there's still Devin Singletary, which, we'll see what comes to him. And, I feel like him being on the roster is more just contract related. He's a veteran. There's, again, the familiar thing with Shane and Daboll from the time in Buffalo. So, running back position, not terrible.
No, I actually kind of like that room. I kind of like that running back room.
Yeah. Between Tracy and Skattebo, there's definitely some excitement there.
And I think even if Singletary's your number 3 back, I think that's a solid guy if someone's out or
definitely. And in a weird way, I almost view him as like it's something to put the numbers behind it. Like in a way, he's kind of like the backup to Tracy in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like if Tracy got hurt, Singletary's probably the guy that would be the starter.
Skattebo's playing a different role. Yeah,
exactly. That's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, so breakout players. X factors, anyone that comes that we haven't talked about that comes to mind to you that you think has the chance to kind of take a leap this year or come out of nowhere, or maybe really make an impact that takes the Giants to another level of actually seriously competing?
To keep it on the theme of players we haven't discussed, because it's something we've already had that I think it's an important year for them.
You can go back to players we already discussed if that's what you choose.
Yeah, there's a few players that come to mind. Again, I think it's a really big year for Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think where he sits in this league on this team, I think this is the time for him to really show that he is going to live up to that top 5 pick billing. I mean, Evan Neal, we already know that where that's going as a number 7 pick that year. Kayvon Thibodeaux being picked 5th, like you said, we've seen flashes. It's been there. It's in there. But I think it's a really important year for him, and I think he's a pivotal player. If that, I know I had said he's kind of the last out of Burns and Carter and Thibodeaux. I kind of view him as kind of last, generally speaking.
It's a good point.
And it's in part because I think highly of Carter, and Burns is very established. So
you think he's the odd man out? Is basically what you're saying.
In a way, right? And I don't think it has to be that way, but in a vacuum, yes. And I think he should be hungry to prove that he belongs, and is on the field regularly. Another player that I think I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a further step in the right direction is second-year safety Tyler Nubin, who was a second-round pick out of Minnesota last year. Showed some promise. Going to have a pretty big role. Giant safety crew looking a little bit different, where Jason Pinnock is out, former Jet very briefly, and Javon Holland, the former Miami Dolphin, he is now taking that role. And so I think Tyler Nubin, like, I want to see him be a key figure on this defense. And there's a couple of other even last year as well, the third-round pick, Drew Phillips, who is the nickel corner. I think highly of him based on what I saw last year. And the quarterback position is definitely questionable for the Giants.
Yeah, that is a huge X factor.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I don't know. Are some Giants fans, is a certain portion of the fan base like rallying behind Russell Wilson, or is it mostly, or what you're hearing most is it mostly we want Dart?
I think people are excited about Dart. I don't think everyone is fully on the like fuck Russell Wilson train yet, but I think it's set up for that.
It's set up. I think like a bad game.
This is set up for Russell Wilson, for people to be looking for Russell Wilson to be benched. Like, that's just the way it is, right? And
I
can
agree.
prove that, and he can prove that wrong, right? Like, if the Giants somehow if they win the first 2 games and Russell Wilson's great, like, he will be the toast of the town.
For sure.
But if he struggles and you have Jaxson Dart waiting in the wings, and even like I'll throw Jameis Winston in there as well, as just kind of like a fun, lovable character. Like, knowing what's behind Russell Wilson, it's just designed for people to be like, all right, let's be done with him. He's on a 1-year deal, whereas, obviously Dart is going to be here for the foreseeable future, and even Jameis Winston's on a 2-year deal. So Russell Wilson, like, this could be very short-lived with him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of contracts, and you mentioned, and one of the players that you're really looking at is like to see how he plays this year is like going forward. Kayvon Thibodeaux, so he has his 5th-year option coming up after the season, and then if it's a team option. So if the Giants don't pick it up, he plays next year on a $14 million salary, and then he's a free agent. So this really is the time for if he's playing for that option to be picked up.
Look, there's a world where, like, if the Giants are struggling, and it's the trade deadline,
he gets moved.
Kayvon Thibodeaux is a definite trade candidate. There's no doubt. Like, I hope it doesn't come to that, but it's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense based on you're trading from an area of strength, and there's so many areas of weakness or areas that could use improvement on the roster.
Right. And look, if he shows out, I think that they will gladly make a spot for him and make that work. And I think that even if they have to sell low a little bit, that could be the case with Thibodeaux.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into the segment of where we predict. You predict the future.
I wish I could actually predict the future.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. We're not going to go game by game. We took a look at the schedule earlier, though. So if I'm going to give you a win total, I'm going to give you a low win total.
Okay.
You got to say over or under what your prediction is.
Sure.
3.5 wins.
Over. Yeah.
I'm going to go under.
Really?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. That schedule's so tough.
3-14 is just hard to do. I know the Giants did last year.
It is hard to do. It is hard to do.
That's you got to be bad.
2 years in a row.
Really bad. Like, it's just, you stumble your way to victories. And the Giants are known for these late season meaningless wins. So you can't tell me that Raider game, like second last week of the season, like they'll win that one. Lose out just to annoy me.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been rooting against the Giants in recent years, and it's just like these frustrating wins that happen time and time again.
Oh, that's so you're not one of these fans that would say, "Oh, I won't root against the team."
No. I've rooted against them many times.
My argument my argument to fans that say that is such a simple argument. It's
who gives a shit?
by rooting for them to lose, by rooting for them to win a game that doesn't do anything for them except hurt their chances going forward, you're actually rooting against them by rooting for them to win.
Yeah, my argument is like, I want the best for this team. And that is why I'm doing that. Like, it's the way it's set up. Now, should it be that way? That's a conversation for another day. But, like, there are benefits to losing. If you're not going to meet the playoffs, better be that you are the last place you want to be is just, no man's land. It's not where you want to be. And so,
for sure,
way too soon, and I don't want it to be this way, but yeah, I've, definitely been rooting against the Giants a lot for large portions of seasons.
All right, let me ask you this. What's more likely, a bottom 3 finish in the NFL, bottom 3 record, or 8 wins?
Bottom 3. That's a good question. Bottom 3 finish.
Or 8 and 9 is what I'm saying.
Or 8 and 9. I'll say 8 and 9.
Nice. Look at this. We need some optimism.
And it's more because I think like there are some pretty bad teams. It's more like, I didn't say they would be, but there's some pretty bad teams in this league.
There's a lot of bad teams. It's true. There's a lot of teams that you look at and like, ugh.
Yeah, like
my team's one of them.
Jets are one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Everything else we covered here. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you think's worth discussing or worth mentioning, making Giants fans aware of?
You hit on mostly everything. Again, I think that beginning of the schedule is crucial. Those first 3 or 4 games to just find a way to tread water, I think, is very important. It's been an impetus to the Giants' success when they have had their rare good starts in 2016 and in 2022. And when they lose that first game and then subsequently the second and third game, the season there's no recovery, basically. They are, 2 and 6 is in the offing. Like, it's not even like it's anything close. Like, they're 4 and 5. Like, no, like they typically are horrible. Vibes are pretty good right now, which I hope means something, but it may not. Again, preseason really, it isn't really much of an indicator, but they do seem like there is, as far as the team camaraderie and stuff like that. Like, again, am I possibly grasping at straws? Yes, but like it feels as if there is something a little bit different and just some excitement. Again, like, do I think that this team's gonna make the playoffs? No, definitely not.
We'll say this though. We'll say this. Every year there's a couple teams that you be going in. Everyone expects them to be bad, and they're very good and they make the playoffs. Every year there's a couple teams that are either in the playoffs that had very low expectations, or at least were in the playoff hunt down to the last week or two this season. It happens every year. Maybe the Giants are one of those teams this year.
Maybe. They're going to have to do well in the NFC East. Like, they're going to have to find ways to just not go 0-4 against Eagles and Cowboys. Like, they're going to have that's going to be important, even though to me the division is not in play here, but just in order to, be one of those surprising teams, you're going to have to be able to find a way to not go 1 and 5 in division.
Let me ask you this. What if they went 2 and 4 against the division? Would you take that right now?
Would I take that? That's a good. Would I take it?
I ask that because you can't really expect them to beat the Eagles, right?
You can't. You really can't. Now, the interesting thing with that is it's a 2 out of 3 stretch. It's Eagles, Thursday Night Football at home, at Denver, at Philly. It's weirdly.
So you think that gives them a better chance?
I'm just mentioning it.
I don't know. Maybe it does.
No,
I don't know.
I think it's gonna be difficult to beat the Eagles in either game.
So 2 and 4 doesn't seem terrible then.
It isn't. I guess I'm more talking maybe about Dallas, because it's like the Giants lost them regularly, and it's like the Giants should be capable of taking a game against the Cowboys. And look, they play in the last week of the season, so I'm not, and like, if that game means nothing for anyone, I'm not talking about that. I guess I'm looking at week 2, like going to Dallas and finding a way to win a football game. Like, that's growth for this team, who seems to never be able to beat Dak Prescott. So there are things that they can do that will keep them out of the cellar of the division. Like, and it starts right away. First 2 weeks.
Are the Cowboys the team you hate the most?
Eagles by far.
Eagles by far.
Eagles by far.
Is that a recency thing because the Eagles have been good?
It's always been that way for me. I've been a fan. My first season as a real diehard fan was the 2000 season, which was the season
Ravens
that the Giants
Super Bowl.
lost the Super Bowl to the Ravens. And I knew what was going on in the years prior to that, but that was really the first season where from week one on, I watched every game.
Really, yeah.
And so the Eagles have always been good. Now the Giants did beat the Eagles in the playoffs that year, but with Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb, like the Eagles in my fandom have almost always gotten the better of the Giants. I was at the Deshaun Jackson game.
You were there?
I was there.
Ooh.
I was at the Giant game that they lost to the Eagles in the divisional round of the playoffs, coming off of the Super Bowl win. A Giant team that finishes the 1 seed. Granted, Plaxico Burress shot himself, but whatever. So the Eagles really, it's not even a question. I don't like the Cowboys at all. This is not, me saying that I like Jerry Jones and everything going on there, but for me.
No, I think it is. I think you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, love them. love Dallas. But no, the Eagles, they are the team that I dislike by far the most.
Interesting.
Not
Okay.
even close. Yeah. Now again, like that could be, if you're a Giant fan from an older generation, then that answer could be completely different. But the way it lined up for me, like the Giants beat the Cowboys in the playoffs on their way to a Super Bowl. The Giants have beaten the Cowboys in some pretty big spots along the way. Not recently, but before that, the Tony Romo era Cowboys, like the Giants, had some pretty big wins against them. So there isn't really that animosity. Why should there be? The Cowboys haven't reached the NFC Championship game since the 1995 season.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of your fandom, the Eagles have been the one have been the successful team.
1,000%.
Not the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys have been good in the regular season, but they haven't had that.
Right, they've been a good team,
success.
and obviously, the Jerry Jones, there's a lot not to like with the Cowboys, of course, but again, there's not a whole lot of big time success there. So what is there for me to not like? What is there for me to totally hate?
Yeah, that makes sense.
If the Cowboys were to play the Commanders, everything being equal, I would prefer Washington winning, although that is, with the Jaden Daniels thing, that's kind of changing. But Washington, the Giants have beaten a lot, so they're the one for me that is by far.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Let everyone know where to find you. So if you like what Derek has to say about the Giants, he has a lot of Giants coverage. Now, you post a recap of every Giants game?
Every Giant game, yep. I figure I do it for all 82 Ranger games plus when they make the playoffs. So 17 Giant games isn't too bad. Although obviously Giant coverage, it's been pretty brutal recently. But yeah, every Giant game, and my producer Casey will be doing episodes together, so there'll be some Jet talk as well. Much more than there had been in the past. So we're gonna try to open it up a little bit. But yeah, gonna be a lot of Giant content. Probably going to be doing an episode this week. We're recording this week of August 25th with the roster cut downs, 53-man roster. I'm hoping by the end of the week to record an episode on that. So yeah, definitely, it's a one-stop shop for specifically the Giants, the Yankees, and the Rangers.
And this is it, everyone. New York's #2 sports show. Check it out. Subscribe. Listen to the videos. A lot of good stuff, including Giants, and if you wanted other sports, Yankees, Rangers. I think I told you this, Derek, before. I haven't found anyone that gives the Rangers covers that you give, that you provide.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, and I definitely want to have you on to talk Rangers, talk Yankees playoffs. It's that time of year, we're getting there, where it's all kind of right in that beginning of October, where it's all kind of happening at the same time.
Yeah, we got baseball playoffs, we got NFL, hockey starting, NBA's not far behind then, and it's all at once. Everyone, comment. Give us your prediction on how many games the New York Giants will win this season. Do you agree with me? Will it be under 3.5?
Will it be less than Andrew's prediction?
Under 1.5.
Imagine.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Derek, thank you for joining.
My pleasure, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you. See you, everyone.
Philly pride insists that's all. Andrew rapping and Watt Bulls. Together they talk sports. Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew Sister.